Long time following you, but it's wonderful finally seeing you. I'm happy you're happy.
Thank you.
Alright, so let's talk about who Chris Chan is. So, Christopher Weston Chandler was born in the state of Virginia on February 24th, 1982. So, when we did the panel, we did past tense, but we want to be respectful because Christine is in the audience, so we're going to be using her preferred pronouns now. Christine is 35 years old and is a high-functioning autistic. She would later go on to change her first name to Christian before, Christine, thanks to the Godbeer incident, which occurred in December of 1992. Chris was 10 years old at the time this happened, and it wouldn't be until college years when she would go on to create Sonic Chew. So here's a few facts about Chris. Chris does not like pickles. Some people had done the science, and it was predicted that Christine had drank at least 3 pints of Coke a day. This was going off of her Coke's reward account, and she had spent over $8,581 on the PSN network. So it should also be noted that Christine has one of the biggest wiki pages out there, to the point where she has her own wiki. And on that wiki itself, there's over 1,797 articles. So if any of you guys want to learn more about Christine, that is the place to go after the panel to do some more research if you were into that. She was fired from Burger King for doing a Donald Duck impersonation of a young child. But from what I've heard, her impersonation is actually pretty good. So. Let's talk about the internet introduction. So, Chris had an early internet presence as early as 1999. However, she was not discovered until a drawing of Sonic Chew was uploaded to the infamous site 4chan back in 2007. With that came the discovery of her YouTube page and the website where Sonic Chew was hosted. We're going to talk about the ED page, which was Encyclopedia Dramatica page. So the Encyclopedia Dramatica page on Christine was created on November 3rd, 2007 by Jason Kendrick Howell. On November 10th, Christine began rewriting the ED article to be more favorable towards her. This, of course, ended in disaster and did not go as well as expected. So we had to censor this one, obviously, but we feel this is an important part of the history, so we wanted to mention it. So the Rule 34.5, for anyone who doesn't know, was a bunch of very unfortunate pictures that Christine had uploaded on November 11th to counteract all the homoerotic artwork being drawn of her characters. In retaliation, she drew Rule 34 of characters engaging in sexual acts. The most notable picture is titled "She Came for CWC." It features an unknown woman named Chris. The trolls first addressed her as Crystal, which was Chris's fictional sister, but we would later come to find out that it was Megan, which was Chris's in real life friend. So we're going to go into the sagas. And the sagas is a very, very long part, but this breaks up a lot of the stuff that happened. Can I relax there for a minute? So we're going to start off with the Megan sagas. We're going to go in order with a lot of this. So Christine and Megan first met in the summer of 2004 at the game place. Megan was the closest relationship with another human Christine has ever had besides her parents. The friendship lasted a total of 4 years, with Megan deciding to distance herself from Chris following the She Came for CWC. And and all the unwanted sexual advances made by Chris. Chris now holds a grudge. Don't know if that's still true or not, but from what I've heard, there has still been mention of Megan, even though I believe she's still out of the picture at this time. So, the Parappa contest. So, real quick, for all of you here, who all has heard of Chris? Like, by a show of hands. Okay, so I do see a lot of hands up. All right.
I'm 12, and what is this?
So, what's it? So, in 2007, Christine entered a contest held by Sun. The contest had contestants rap one of the 3 songs to promote the Parappa the Rapper video game. The winner would receive 2 PSPs and a trip to Seattle for the Penny Arcade Expo. Chris had high hopes of winning this contest and giving one of the PSPs to Megan, and also taking her on the trip, hoping she would give in to her obvious feelings for Chris. His entry managed to make it to the final 10, but with little over 10 entries submitted, that really isn't saying too much. Chris ended up losing to Adam Stackhouse. So we do have the video actually of the entry, and I'm gonna pull that up real quick.
Sorry. T-shirt now. on me too fast. I'm out of here. It's our hero on PlayStation 3. Don't press the PS button after selecting, see? Make sure you hook it up with the converter controller. To rock gun, yo. Rap, rap, rap. That's a rap.
So, my favorite part about that is definitely the water effect that was added in there. It's really pretty. So let's talk about the infamous ED saga. So this is where it all truly began. So on November 2007, the internet found Christine, and the Encyclopedia Dramatica page was made. So Chris, assuming they just got their information wrong, made a video and a plea for the page to be taken down or edited for better portrayal of him. However, nothing came about that. So when nobody did, he took it upon himself to rewrite the page reflecting himself in a better light. This is when the trolls finally noticed the extent to Chris's insanity. So we're gonna go in, I should also mention for anyone who's not familiar with the topic, almost everyone that is being mentioned in the sagas is a troll. So they're not real people. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the Blanca sagas, which happened August 2008 and lasted until about October 2008. So Blanca was an identity made up by a group of trolls, and the plan was to pose as Chris's sweetheart and obtain the famous Sonic Shoe medallion. They ended up successful and even managed to get some pornographic pictures, which they later watermarked and uploaded to ED. So this is one of my favorite sagas, is the Jimmy Hill sagas. Jimmy Hill was an alias used by an unknown person who claimed to be the original creator of Sonic Chew and Rose Chew. He claimed he was going to release the comic to Europe in September, which obviously didn't happen. Jimmy's version of Sonic Chew was gay, with Blake and Rose Chew as his gal pal. Also included was Mary Lee Walsh as his mother. Jimmy also sold official merchandise, one item being a muscle bra for geriatric females and overweight men who are uncertain about their sexuality. So, let's talk about Clyde Cash.
Oh no! Boo!
By a show of hands, who knows about Clyde Cash? Alright. So,
Shit was so good.
alias was Greg Mays. Lost my spot. So, Clyde Cash is considered to be the most notorious of Chris's trolls, even to this day. Still talked about all the time. Clyde has sworn revenge on Chris after he announced he'd no longer update Sonic Chew comics, and it led to his brother Ryan committing suicide. Now remember guys, this is a troll, this isn't a real person, so Ryan was distressed at not knowing whether or not Crystal would escape from the dark mirror hole in the Sonic Chew comic. So, little graphic, but then again, remember this did not actually happen. Clyde admitted to raping the non-existent Panda Halo, who we talked about in the later part of the sagas, as his first act against Chris. Chris believed Clyde and Panda got married and had a 1-cent daughter named Penny. Clyde then posed as Greg Mays, a web designer for Nintendo, as an attempt to get control of the SonicShoe.net. It ended up working, so they had control of SonicShoe.net for a while. In order for Chris to get the website back, he had to make a video declaring he was gay. Chris eventually regained access to the site. Pretty good looking guy, I find. So, Chris went on to purchase SonicChew.info after Clyde, working with another troll, deleted SonicChew.net. This did not last long, as Clyde, with the help of Panda Halo, managed to gain access again. So, SonicChew.net was under control of Clyde. Around the same time, Takashi Tezuka and Jay-Z, a lawyer from Nintendo, one second. Jay-Z, a lawyer from Nintendo, began work on their Animal Crossing game project. Clyde, then posing as Shigeru Miyamoto, sabotaged any chances of the project happening. So unfortunately, we won't see Sonic Chew and Animal Crossing anytime soon, but there's still hope for the future, right? So, let's talk about the crazy Panda Halo sagas. So, this is Chris's true and honest sweetheart from 2008 to 2009. She lived in southern Australia until her death caused by a wildfire.
Rest in pepperoni. F. Press F.
So, just to throw my own opinion here, I really didn't like Panda Halo too much because I feel she was a little verbally abusive to Chris and often tried to get him to perform weird sex acts. It should be mentioned, she obtained the first footage of Chris masturbating in the audio recording of him explaining his sexual desires. So, the Panda Halo saga also ran parallel to the Blanca sagas.
There's so many sagas left.
Oh my god.
We're a little short, but here's the Miyamoto sagas as well. I just threw it in because I thought it was important. So, there isn't a lot to say about it. As stated before, it was Clyde impersonating Miyamoto. And there was a lot of emails exchanged back and forth between Miyamoto and Chris about making Sonic Chew into a game. This all ended on February 10th when Chris got a letter from Mike Chandler realizing he was never in touch with Nintendo to begin with. Which is a little sad because I would love to see Sonic Chew appear in at least one game. Nintendo doesn't know what they're missing. So, the Julie saga. Who knows about the Julie saga? Alright. So, Julie, better known as Blue Spike, was a 13-year-old boy posing as yet again another one of Chris's sweethearts. Julie first showed up on IRC in December, suggesting the tour of Chris's house. So Chris had promised her his virginity to both Panda and Julie at the same time, and this infuriated Julie, who threatened to end her life. She would end up moving to Ohio to live with relatives. So Blue Spike is considered one of the more controversial trolls. He spent a lot of time as Julie having phone sex with Chris. Yeah. Not my favorite. So the infamous video of Chris having sex with a blow-up doll was created at the same time. In it, Chris is heard shouting, "Julie! Julie!" It's one of the most recognized and infamous events to ever take place in Chris's history. So the Ivy sagas. So in March 2009, a girl named Ivy asked Christine for a video shout out to impress her friend. Ivy would bring out a weird level of crazy for Christine and led to the creepiest saga to date. In April, Rocky Shoemaker, an assistant pastor, would encourage Chris and his family to go to the cops for one of the trolls. While there, Rocky also asked for a background search on Ivy against Chris's parents' wishes. Uploaded on May 1st, 2009 from My Sweetest Ivy is a video of Chris standing in front of this camera talking about all the things him and Ivy would do during her visit. And I actually have the video here for you guys to view.
Oh, we're going to have so much fun together when you and I are together. You know, my mommy and I, my family and I will come and meet you at the airport. And you know, your choice, take you to your hotel or take you back to my house. I mean, you know, we'd be hanging around so much and sharing so many fun memories. And, you know, I know a few good places in Charlottesville, you know. I'll take it, I'll take it there. We'll get some good things to eat. We'll hang out. We'll have so much fun. Well, let's have a good time together. You know, I know a place that serves some great smoothies. Yeah, the cafe in Charlottesville. Good place. Serves good smoothies. And you know, we can enjoy a movie in the theater or at home or watch a television rerun. Family Guy! Family Guy! Or I love Lucy, or I got the entire series of Gilligan's Island. We can make some music together. Show me the best! On Guitar Hero. You can sing. I got a microphone. I think I can drum. Yeah. And you know, I look forward to the eventuality of you and me having our sex time together. I'll do so many. I'll do my best to pleasure you and keep you satisfied. It's for you. Yeah, I know a number of good positions and massages. And you know, I know a number of places we could walk around at. You know, we can walk about the mall. We can walk about the UVA ground. Good places where there's plenty of green and sunlight. And we can walk the hermit crabs together. Talk about sunlight house. You might like this. Now you might walk your hermit crabs. And, you know, wonderful memories. So wonderful memories. We're going to have lots of fun. I'll do my best to keep you entertained, show you a good time. When we're having a good time. And I promise I'll remain your good boy forever and for always. And my friends have been talking to between on the internet and real life, my real friends. They can vouch for me on how good a boy I have been. Being the good boy is for you, Ivy. I love you so much. I love you so much. Look at me smile. It's nice. Because I love you, Ivy. I love you so much. I ran out of details. I don't know, I guess I'll sing you a song. It's a jolly holiday with Ivy. Ivy makes my heart so light. When the skies are gray and ordinary, Ivy makes the sunshine bright. All happiness is blooming all around her. The daffodils are smiling at the dusk. When Ivy holds my hand, I feel so grand. My heart starts beating like a big fat fan. It's a jolly holiday with Ivy. of this for, just some more positive highlight for anybody who does background information. I should recreate something for MySpace or Facebook with all the positive highlights and all the true details that would not be somehow twisted in any erroneous way. I'll work on that. I will work on that. Because it's the honest truth from my head. From my head. I love you so much, baby. I love you. I love you. Love you later, sweetheart. And also to your quality policeman, I salute him in my Cub Scout salute that I favored for so long.
It's probably one of my favorite videos today. So we're going to talk about the Vanessa saga. So this started in April 2009. It only lasted till May of 2009. So, only Chris would be foolish enough to believe the article Vanessa Hudgens, actress, damn it. It's been a long night. So, the actress Vanessa Hudgens wanted to form a relationship with her. The Vanessa saga was started by a real-life kind of friend by the name Joshua Martinez. So Joshua has stated him and Chris used to carpool as children for speech therapy. Joshua is the first person to use an alias to trick Chris into a fake relationship. In the fall of 2007, Josh created Lori Lopez, a boyfriend-free girl, and began messaging Chris. The photos Lori sent him were of Vanessa. It's your boy, guys. Calm down. So, this is the true and honest Christian channel and creator of Sonic Channel. In 2009, Christine announced she was a troll herself who is the complete opposite of the real CWC in an attempt to get the trolls to leave her alone. She was then named Ian Brandon Anderson, or Ian Brandon something. And the real Ian Brandon Anderson was then dubbed Solid Chris.
Yeah, Solid Chris. Oh no, he's not Chris. Ian Brandon Anderson? I guess no, it's oh wait, who's Solid Chris?
So, let's talk about the CWCpedia.
What about
The CWCpedia was set up by the same webmaster as the It was set up for Chris as a way to avoid the trolls, but also document his recent failures. On November 19, 2009, the mailbox system was set up for people to ask Christine questions. It was complete and utter chaos. The trolls started paying for ads of gay porn, Asperger's syndrome, and other things that made Christine very upset. Christine began threatening advertisers. This would lead to the site shutting down twice and the death of Simona Rosachew by an exploding toilet. So the Asperchew saga. So Alex Benson Leary wrote the award-winning series known as Asperchew. Christine is not a fan of Sonic Chew clone with Asperger's.
Sweet.
She has threatened Alex quite a number of times as she feels Asperchew was created with the sole purpose to make fun of her. It's no secret Christine hates people with Asperger's, though I don't know if that's still her feelings or not. There's some kind of competition from what the wiki had said, where Christine had felt that people had competed on the spectrum. Kind of want to tread lightly around this topic. Knowing Alex created a series about an electric hedgehog with Asperger's didn't sit well with Christine. She became even angrier when the creator started sending Chris emails. Christine, more infuriated, began insulting Alex's work. It didn't help that Alex was also such a humble person and looked up to Chris. So I think the funniest part about the whole situation, just in my opinion, is how much of a polar opposite Asperchu was to Sonic Chew. Alex would go on to set up a media wiki where you could read already existing comics, send fan mail, and read more about the world of Asperchu. And even read other spin-off comics. I believe, what was it? There was one about, like, I can't remember any of the ones off the top of my head, so I believe most of them are deleted now and you can't find them anymore. But Jack Thaddeus realized Asperchu's potential and began advertising it on the CWCpedia. So Christine eventually went on to save Alex's characters from their afflictions in Sonic Chew issue 10 and gave Alex an ultimatum to call Asperchu Mitch Chew. But instead, Alex introduced Mitch Chew as Asperger's gay hairstylist. He also introduced Wisp Chew as well, which is Punchy's slow-minded cousin.
Oh my god. Man, baby.
Tito's great. So, let's talk about Surfshark Tito, shall we? Tito would make his first mark by hacking Chris's PlayStation Network account. So, Tito ended up doing an info dump addressing Christine's spending habits, where we would learn about Christine buying games that she'd never play and purchasing DLCs to games that she had never even owned. Tito also revealed Christine's enthusiasm while using the N-word as a slur towards him. It's happened once, and it should also be mentioned that Tito is Hawaiian, so think of that as you will. The Tito saga also revealed the Wallflowers' identity, though their identities kept secret per agreement as she didn't want anything to do with Christine or the Trolls. The game place. The dreaded game place. Christine would visit the game place pretty regularly in her early internet days. This is where she met Megan, as well as Lucas and Mims, two people who would deliver a lot about Christine during the time she was there. Michael Snyder, annoyed with Christine's behavior at the time, would go on to ban her in August 2008. This, however, wouldn't be the end of everything. Christine would continue visiting the store, sending Michael's emails, and even making YouTube videos, all in an attempt to get unbanned. The saga would pick up again in 2011. So, October 2011, Christine and his mother would visit the game place in yet another attempt to get her unbanned. This time ended in disaster as Christine and Barb would hit Michael with their car. So, cops were involved, and unfortunately, Christine was charged. She had to do a year of community service and attend mandatory psychiatric treatment. She was also responsible for paying Snyder's medical bills. On April 4th, 2013, Christine would make a Facebook post blaming Megan for his ban and claiming she plotted with the game place to get Christine banned. She swore revenge on Game Place, but that would be short-lived as it did shut its doors in 2014 for good. Let's talk about Sonic Chew! So, Christine is in the audience with us. We would love to have you come up front, but that is completely up to you.
Please continue. I'm enjoying listening.
Thank you very much. We're glad to have you. So let's talk about Sonic Chu's creation, shall we? Christine created Sonic Chu back in March of 2000 as a way to get around rules for a project that involved creating an original CD cover with no copyrighted characters. So 5 months later, Christine would go on to create the CWC Sonic Chu site. Though Christine began drawing comics in August of 2000, it would be over 5 years later before the comic would be completed and released to the internet. And right there is the picture of the CD cover and the first ever Sonic Chu drawing as well. Let's talk about how Sonic Chu came to be. So Sonic Chu's creation would begin with Sonic fighting against the perfect chaos monster.
No.
Oh, I accidentally put Sonic Chu, but that should be Sonic, right? Ah, fuck it. I'm tired. Excuse me. It's after dark, there's no children here. So using the 7 Chaos Emeralds to turn into Super Sonic, Sonic would go on to collide with the Pikachu, watching the chaos unfold. This collision would evolve the Pikachu into Sonic Chu. Later in the comic, however, it is explained Sonic Chu came from an egg like the rest of the Sonic Chu characters. However, Sonic is still Sonic.
What is that mean?
So, it should also be mentioned that there are quite a bit of plot holes in the comic. So, we're going to talk about Sonic Chu's plot. So, what can be said about Sonic Chu's plot? Well, as mentioned before, there are quite a bit of holes in it. Characters feel...
No, I promise.
I look forward to reading the rest of the comic.
Me too!
Good. So, the comic in its early days had a lot of Mary Sue characters and a lot of Godmother. I can't remember the original character count, but I believe it was over like 100 or so that showed up in the comic to date. So the story first followed a plot of Sonic Chu and Rose Chu up until Sonic Chu issue 2, episode 7. That's when the comic became more heavily centered around Christine and her real life struggle against the trolls. To say it doesn't make any sense is kind of a little bit of an understatement, but yeah. So the comic is filled with so much nonsense, it's hard to pick apart one specific topic to talk about. So this being the case, I decided to choose one of the more interesting chapters to discuss, since we didn't have that much time to discuss the full comic. So we're going to discuss Sonic Chu issue number 7.
Time travel!
This is also one of my favorite covers. So this is the 8th installment in the Sonic Chu series. The cover was drawn on the 5th of March, 2007, but the comic would not be completed until around August 20th, 2008. Christine gets trapped in the time void, where she can no longer interact with any of the characters, and at this point Sonic Chu and Magi-chan return to November 2nd, 2007, which was the current date of when this all took place. So, episode 15, Time for a Ball. Shortly after the battle with... Wow. Can't pronounce that. Thank Thank you. So Chris and Megan returned to the basketball court with Sonic-Chu and Magi-Chan to search for the Sonic-Chu balls. Magi-Chan claimed the balls are lost in time and space, but he can locate them as long as he can find the person who came into contact with them.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So in order to find the Sonic-Chu balls, Magi-Chan has to find the person who had come into contact with the Sonic-Chu balls.
Like that Game of Thrones thing.
You're welcome. So it should be no surprise that the person who came into contact with the Sonic-Chu balls was Christine herself. So Magi-Chan reads Christine's mind and magically pinpoints the exact date and time, which happened to be when Christine was hit in the head with a basketball, only it turned out to be a Sonic-Chu ball. This was also how Christine created Bionic.
I don't really understand.
It is what it is, I guess. So I want to take time to talk about the Family Guy sketch because I actually find this very, very interesting. So after the part where they had cut from the basketball court, there was a comic thrown in about a Family Guy sketch. So Chris, resembling Peter Griffin in this, is visiting the headquarters of the Ghostbusters. So he heads off in search of the bathroom, but instead ends up in the room the guys use in the cartoon. So for anyone who's seen the Ghostbusters cartoon, you know how they get suited up and they end up in the car and all that. I don't know if any of you have seen the original cartoon. Okay. So the room the guys use in the cartoon that changes to the uniforms, it's a faithful homage actually, except for the scene with the giant spider webs which weren't drawn. Chris is then dropped into the talking car where the tires blow out from the sudden wave. Christine then exclaims how this isn't the bathroom with written next to him, indicating that he may have soiled his pants. She then went on to give Seth MacFarlane permission to use it in a gag for Family Guy, which is where the interesting part comes in, because surprisingly, a gag similar ended up in an episode that was eerily very much similar to Chris's sketch. So, episode 16, Time Hogs. Now in the past, our heroes watch as Chris of 1996 has a boring, uneventful conversation with his pal Joseph Herring. So Sonic-Chu ball falls on Christine's head. Sonic-Chu quickly snatches it up without being seen as to not cause a rip in time. So Christine then returns to 2007. However, Magi-Chan and Sonic-Chu were deep into a conversation they didn't realize until it was too late that Chris had missed his stop. So Magi-Chan explains to Sonic-Chu Chris was lost but would return at a random time in the future. Later on, Sonic-Chu explains everything to Rose-Chu as well. From here, Rose-Chu asks Sonic-Chu to go back to their place to, quote, do our thing. So it would then cut again to a meeting of the villains led by Mary Lee Walsh and Gradual, right? Yeah. So they were announcing Chris's fate to the rest of the villains. In the time void, it appears that the Sonic-Chu ball was also absorbed into Chris's arm, giving him visions of his life in and outside of the comic. So, what's Christine up to now? So, question, do you guys want me to go on with this part? Or, Christine, would you be willing to come up here, actually? had to as of recently. That one works. Go ahead.
Mic check, 1, 2. Still 1, 2, 3. Well, let's see. I'm just going to start off with what we got here. On January 10th, 2014, yeah, that was the house fire. Lost a few things, but we didn't lose the art.
We're glad for that. We're very happy about that.
Mr. C's record collection, unfortunately, because once they were on the top shelf, melted some because heat rises.
Heat rises, guys.
Yeah, and then lost a few things that were on the top. Don't put things on the top of your bookcases, especially those that are made of plastic. Lost some of my sound waves, figures from Transformers, and my Megazord, Dragonzord, and Titans. And I got from that shopping spree at KB. But anyway, so after that, the house fire, State Farm helped us out, stayed in a couple of hotels, stayed in the room, got our house renovated. Took like nearly a year to do that, but on the very last minute, guess what happened? Because we could not pay the rent for the next month, we really had to rush everything out of the house on December 31st. And boy, it was so, we had a few little things left behind, and we had to go back the next day, make sure that the key still worked for the lock, but we did. It was all good. It's okay. I'm cool, I'm fine. Definitely had a few handcuffing situations. Fuck the police. They should never let Sonic have blue arms. I did a peaceful protest. I did the worst thing ever after I was being when I was face to face with that manager of that GameStop in Fashion Square.
GameStop sucks anyway.
Hey Christine, not to sidetrack you, but can I ask your opinion on the recent Sonic game that was just released?
Sonic Forces is awesome.
Yeah.
Except for one thing, they give us some additional portions to add whales to their backs, the tan belly, waggy boat tail, rabbit ears instead of pika ears, to do like something in mind with Nintendo.
They should get on that.
DLC.
DLC!
DLC. 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 DLC.
Sonic and roast you! Aside from that, that's been going good. I've been back on the pages more recently, and I've actually been more psychically linked with the city of Quickville. But it's bigger than a city. It's a nation! And guess what? What? From the chaotic rainbow, not only thousands of the basic Siamese and Sonny and Rosie eggs, 69 specials. And that's counting the side shoot and roast shoot on either end of that rainbow. That are very darn special, Destiny, that yet to be made in the book. I'm still learning about them.
Yes. So Christine, where can people read about your next comics?
Pretty much the only place to go right now to get copies of my book until I can find a way to get them published where they're not sabotaged by trolls or bullies or whatever. It's on my Patreon. You'll definitely find it. It has the lovely drawing of me wearing my glasses. one of two versions that was I had commissioned by the lovely Doobie Doo over of Clan Dolan. Kind person. She's reserved. I don't blame her for blocking me on Twitter. I have a troll following. I'm infamous. But I think in due time, she might come around. But until then, I accept that she blocked me. She has her own right to block whoever she wishes.
Right.
I would have done the same thing. Hey, we're not perfect. We're still people.
You're very brave.
Thank you. I'll send it up book or so a month, depending on how much you pledge. And I may be a month late, but that's because we had a setback 1 month. But I'm still catching up. We're still catching up. It's tight around the house. Believe me, so much stresses.
What happened? It's okay.
All right.
Christine, we want to thank you so much for coming up here. We really appreciate it. And we're ecstatic to have you here.
Say, you're the man. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. Give an extra round of applause for Christine. Absolutely, we can send it to you right after the panel. So we're going to finish up here, but if you can give me the name of it, I'll go ahead and recommend it. So Christine has another one for us, song-wise, that she would like to recommend. I'm going to pass the mic over to Christine for a second, okay?
From channel yet another YT user and my Sanchi OP improved version. It's on YouTube.
You're in heaven now.
I'm in true heaven right now.
We died. You're in GQ Crutaz.
She hugged me. It's a theme song. Everyone.
Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties earlier.
Oh, but that's a nice picture right there.
So if that theme song didn't get you hyped up, I don't know what will.
Right there.
You've been saying on Twitter, you've been mulling it over. Is Roche 2 trans or not?
She is. She was born a male Pichu. Shut up. So, favorite question girl movie? Oh dear, 4 too strong with so many shorts. I got to say amongst the movies, Rainbow Rocks. Yes! And amongst the shorts, I highly recommend Good Vibes. Yes! Alright. Right there. What's that? White food. White food? Oh, white food. Don't very much have one. I'm still considering all the lovely anime girls out there.
face. Ready?
Chaos control! Right there, the image finger up.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Sonic Mania?
Awesome 2D platformer. Right there. Yeah.
Christine, I want you to go to a party. Will you come with me?
Yeah.
Wow. So sudden. Where is this party?
Somewhere in the Gaylord.
We'll see.
Would you talk to me after the panel?
Yeah. Right there. Sonic 06. Could stand improvements, but would love to see a modern update release without the loading screens. All we do, remove the glitches. Right there. Yes. Minty. The little squirrel with the gumdrop shirt.
I don't need to interrupt for a minute. Christine, one of my friends was asking if you'd be willing to give our group a shout out. It's called the Congoer Kindred. Was it?
Uncensored Congoers Kindred Society.
Somebody knew it back there. They're from Pittsburgh.
Shout out to the cops!
Thank you, Christine.
Alright, now take that question.
What are your opinions on Bacon the Cat?
Oh, jeez.
Polarized. He's here, by the way.
That's an okay, that's an okay thing. Right there.
Alright, hold on. Christine, I need you to give a shout out to Meme Hub.
Miho?
Meme Hub.
Miho?
Meme Hub.
The Meme Hub?
Miho?
So this will probably have to be the final question because we're 1 minute. So
Alright. Right there.
Are you still on your love quest?
Give or take.
I would just like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. A big thank you for Christine for being here. So, my name is Zay. This is my co-panelist, Brandy. We wanted to let you guys know that the panel was filmed and we'll be posting it up on the Magfest official page later, so if anyone would like to rewatch it, it'll be there after the con. So, a big thank you to everyone. Thank you so much. We wouldn't have been possible without all of you. And another round of applause for Christine.